Have you reached that point in your business where you've maxed out? You've reached your glass ceiling, you are at the end of your rope, you're frustrated, you're just at this point like, I don't know how to do more and get ahead. You wonder, I've grown my business to this point and I see people who have $10 million businesses, $20 million business, $100 million, $400 million. And you wonder at some point, how are they able to do this? How are they able to grow something, an entity like this that creates a life of its own? And then sometimes you see these same people sitting on a yacht, or they're going to the Bahamas, or they're going scuba diving, they're scaling a mountain, they're doing something else. Well, they're doing some of the things, and they have done, and they've probably been through pain points like you've already been through, and you've been through pain points. You probably have forgot about them, like some ladies tend to forget about childbirth. And you know, we just tend to get through these things at times, and we forget what we've already been through. And I would say that's actually one of the things I find too many business owners do forget about, are all the hurdles and all the things that they've been through to get where they've been. If you're that person and you feel like, I've just reached this place where I don't know where to go next, that is what I'm going to talk about in this video. And my name is Kevin Johnson. I'm the CEO of Leverage Consulting, as well as the creator of Leverage U, an online university. So one of the things I do with every client, in fact, right before I shot this video, I was talking with a good friend and also someone I work with on and off over the years, but someone I was talking to about them scaling and growing their business. And it's funny, even in this example, I listened to another person who you may have heard about. They're super famous and probably worth a couple $100 million now, but they're talking about their start in business. And they're at a point where they were at, I think, making $50,000 a year. And they thought, I gotta do something. I gotta invest in myself. I gotta get ahead. And they sat next to someone at a Tony Robbins seminar. And at the seminar, he's sitting there and he's thinking, okay, I'm in a room with a couple thousand people, and I got to know my audience. I got to know who I'm sitting next to. And he said, he looked at the guy next to him and he said, what do you do for a living? Well, he said, well, I don't really do anything anymore. I sold my business for $400 million. And you know, you wonder at some point, like, if you've grown your business and sold it for $400 million, what are you doing here? So when you think about this, and where that gentleman had to go from his start to here and sell a business for $400 million, he had to do a lot. And it's the same thing you're probably looking to do, and that is to scale your business. And in doing that, it's the same conversation I had with this client today. And I was talking to them about scaling their business, which is, you know, it's done anywhere from $10 to $20 million a year. And when we go through this exercise, and it's something I do for every client. Doesn't matter where they are in their business, it's something I do for every one of my clients, because if they don't have the capacity to grow, get stress off their plate, and focus on the things that really matter, then it's going to become the bottleneck to the business. It's actually one of the biggest limiting factors for every entrepreneur in every business is the owner, operators, the entrepreneurs that started this thing. They have their hands in too many things oftentimes, and they haven't learned how to start delegating and letting go, but they don't know where to start to do that, or they don't trust people to do that. So I'm going to walk you through a little exercise I do with a lot of clients, almost every client, to help them scale their business. So one of the first things I talk to a client about is I'll ask them if they've ever heard of the E-Myth book and the triangle from that book. And although it's a very simplistic concept, it's one that needs to be revisited literally almost every year to look at where that entrepreneur is and what things they have on their plate and where they need to delegate and where they need to look to others. So we walk through this entrepreneur triangle and we look at between the entrepreneur, the technician, and the manager, what do we have in place right now? What do we have running this company? And usually I start with the entrepreneur, who sometimes in most of the cases that I work with a client, they're also the technician. So they have to have some mix of it. And I will tell you right now, if you've never heard this before, you've heard it here today, you cannot do all three and do them well. You can do all three, but the problem is something is going to suffer. If not, two things will suffer. So you need to concentrate on what you do and what you do best. So as I walk through this exercise with a client, there are certain things, like with some of the clients, they're going to be the technician. So even with that, we start figuring out how we leverage them in the technician role so they have more time and capacity to do the other things that are entrepreneurial in nature, and that comes to running the business and sometimes also being that innovator for the business. So when I walk through this exercise with the person today, we're talking about the things, and this probably applies to you too, that what skill sets do you bring to the party that are unique? What are the things that you have almost no one else can do here, or you would literally have to hire a clone of yourself to come in and do the same kind of thing. And so for some, you can do that. Some, maybe not. But the entrepreneurial side of things, you also have to think about what started this whole business, and usually it's passion. And it's a funny word to say. You know, many years ago, if I had heard that word passion, I might be like, this is not the kind of conversation I want to be in. This is probably going to go in a very like coaching kind of thing where we talk about feelings and so forth. And that wasn't my thing a long time ago. And not that I get a lot into feelings, but I'm very much a believer now in things like mindset and passion when it comes to getting behind certain things. When it comes to your business and what it is that you do. Some people, their whole passion is serving other people. Some people have a passion for putting people in homes they never thought they could afford. Some people have a passion for providing a medical or dental service to the community. They have passions in that respect. And you have to think about the two things, really just two questions you have to ask yourself. What skill set do you bring to the party that is unique, that almost no one else can do, or you would have to hire a clone of yourself? And secondly, where is the passion in running the business? So some like that entrepreneurial feel of guiding the company, looking at the numbers, skating to where the puck is going to be, as opposed to being a firefighter all the time. So that's where I walk through this exercise and we figure out what is it the entrepreneur, the owner, the operator is really good at, and we try to strip away everything else that does not apply. Anything that gets in the way of them doing the things that they do really well, again, skill set and passion. So that's what I'm working on with this one client. And now that we've figured out what those passion things are, then we look at the rest of the organization. And this will be a completely different video, but we go through and we look at who they have in place right now. One of the biggest problems when people go through this exercise is they try to put the people they already have into certain positions or make it work. And it's like square peg, round hole. It's not a great way of doing things. So you may be pushing a person into a managerial role when they don't have that skill set. Maybe they don't even like people. And if you push someone into that kind of role, you're setting them up for failure. You're setting yourself up for failure. So we need to instead look at, what do you really need? What do you need to then, if you strip certain things away, and maybe even in going through this exercise, you end up identifying things that we just don't have, we don't do. And maybe we don't have anybody who's super aware of the numbers on a regular basis. We need that. Maybe you don't have anybody who's truly in charge of sales. Sales just kind of happens. Maybe marketing just kind of happens. It's not a driven, deliberate, purposeful kind of thing. So in evaluating the triangle and stripping away unnecessary things from the entrepreneur, owner, operator, then we start figuring out, what do we need to hire to? And usually it's hiring to the owner operator's weakness, or hiring to the things they don't really care for, or we can just find people, it could even be your passion, but we know that there are other people out there who are just far better at it. So we go through that exercise and we start identifying who exactly it is that we're going to hire. For this client, we're literally creating a position profile of the kind of person we want. And the funny part is, most times you might think, well, we're going to hire a COO or a CEO or a CFO or some kind of, and although we're looking for something like that, there's actually three things we're really looking for. We're looking for someone who has a personality that can go toe to toe with the entrepreneur, owner, operator, somebody who they can bounce ideas with. There's no eggshells between them. It's just a good synergy between them, so we can build this thing up and go and run faster, farther, and better, as opposed to it gets weird and we're stepping on each other's toes. So communication is key. We need an entrepreneurial spirit with that person. And it's the kind of thing where they want to grow the business. They want it to do better. They're not focused on problems, they're focused on solutions. They're focused on growth. Because it's funny how when you focus on growth, problems tend to go away. We find solutions to things so we can continue to grow. And the other piece of it is the problem-solving nature of that person. Because somebody can come to you with a title, if they don't have that problem-solving nature, they'll never work out, period. So when you go through interview process and you're trying to scale your business and you think about, I have to backfill things that I'm not good at, I'm not passionate about, you need to backfill it with someone who's a good communicator, someone who's a good problem solver, and someone who's going to have good synergistic energy with the person that they're going to now complement. It's like a puzzle piece. So this is an exercise I walk through with literally every client to figure out how they're going to scale. And whether it's they're hiring an office manager for a dental practice, we're scaling a manufacturing facility, we're scaling a service-based company, you need to backfill it with people who are going to allow the entrepreneur, owner, operator, the one that got this thing started, you need to bring people on board who complement the team and literally, it's like the sum of the two parts are greater than what you started with. It's the entrepreneur now is put in a position, and like the person I was talking about today, they're gonna get out of day-to-day operations. They're gonna get out of managing people. They're gonna get out of a lot of stuff that has held them back from things that made them great. And it's the passion and the entrepreneurialism of creating new ideas, creating new marketing campaigns, creating new things, new avenues for them so they can drive the company in a certain direction as opposed to constantly playing firefighter. So if this sounds like you, I would really be interested in seeing comments in the comment section. I'd be interested in hearing from you. I'd be interested in any struggles, any issues that you've had in scaling your own business or things that you've encountered that you've not been able to actually correct at this point. And if you even want to, you can drop a comment or contact us directly and you and I can talk on the side. So again, my name is Kevin Johnson. I'm the CEO of Leverage Consulting. And if you're in the position to scale your business, if you're in a place where you don't know where to go next, you can contact me and we can talk about how we can scale you and your business.